Welcome to Crafted and Creative, a podcast meant to uplift and engage BIPOC creatives who are on their journey of making a social impact and creating a lasting legacy. The show's mission is all about creating community and a sense of guidance for those that are looking to do the same through their artistry. Today's guest is Lande Yoosuf, a writer and director and producer with over 12 years of production development and casting experience, and has worked on several networks including MTV, NBC. Her short film Privilege Unhinged screened at the prestigious Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival, among others. As co-founder and partnerships director of Black Film Space, Lande works to contribute to expand control, ownership over media and management for content creators of African descent across all cinematic formats and content platforms. She has served as a host and moderator for events with organizations like Array, HBO, and ABFF, to name a few. Thank you so much, Lande, for joining me today on this podcast.
Be here.
Yes. Okay, so this year makes the 10th anniversary of Black Film Space.
Yes, it does.
So take me back 10 years ago. What inspired you and your co-founder, Reggie Williams, to start Black Film Space?
Sure. So at the time, I was working in reality television. I did that for about 12 to 13 years in development and casting. And I was learning a lot of skills. I was grateful for the experiences, but I was getting to a point where I felt like my creativity and talent was very stifled. Mm-hmm. Not to mention there wasn't much diversity in the environments that I was working in. So I was like, I need to come up with an exit plan to really start doing like more narrative film stuff or just something else. Mm-hmm. So, and then I was like, dang, I don't know a lot of Black people in film in New York. Like everybody is in LA that is doing that I know. Then out of nowhere, he found me on Facebook, and I saw that he had filmmaker on his title. I was like, hey, he looks like he's serious. I don't know, we'll see. Mm-hmm. So I just sent him a message like, are you a filmmaker? He was like, yeah. Then we met up for coffee, and he told me that he was also working on a lot of sets where there wasn't much diversity. And I was like, well, let's find the people in New York that work in film, because I feel like everybody's just spread out. Mm-hmm. So we were like gonna do like a brunch. We were just gonna have like 10 people come link up, and that was it. And then it turned into like a happy hour.
Wow.
Yeah. And one of my mentors, Tiffany Young, who's a board member now, she had like a deal with like a venue for us to get a section, and people just brought friends, like, and they were like, when's the next one? And we was like, oh, okay, this is like a thing. Yeah. So then we did a talk with Pete Chapman, who's like a huge television film director now. And that was like right before I think he like just got signed or like was about to get signed. And then we did like screenings, like we just tried different things. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then it just like exploded. And we were like, all right, we should actually call this something.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we came up with the name Black Film Space. And then that was like, so that whole journey was from 2015 to 2016. But then 2017, when we did our mixer in Bed-Stuy, that's when I was like, oh no, this is gonna be big.
Gonna be something.
This is gonna be like a thing. Like it would just like explode. Like we got like 15K followers. Like it was like going crazy.
It's grown so much. Yeah. Even when I started attending, which I want to say I'm so grateful that I found you all. Thank because you. At the time I was in graduate school and I just wasn't seeing a lot of us, unfortunately. And at the time Issa Rae was getting bigger.
Right.
I think Atlanta was out. So you're seeing all of these Black creators make stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting inspired. Maybe I can make something too.
Right.
And then finding Black Film Space, I felt like I had come home. I'm like, wow, this is where I'm supposed to be. And so I'm really grateful for you all. You all gave me a second home when I moved here. I didn't know anybody here. I moved here from Chicago and was looking for, yes, girl.
I love Chicago.
Yes. And so I found you guys.
That's
away
so
from,
awesome.
My second home.
Well, Black Film Space is what gave me the courage to become a filmmaker, because I was still scared. Like, oh, I don't know if I should still do this. Maybe I should, because I'm not gonna lie, the money from reality was pretty good. Mm-hmm. But when I was seeing like other people juggling it with jobs, and like they were like, "We gonna make our movie. I don't care what's in the way." And I was like, I gotta have that same attitude. And then I remember reading my first script, my first short, to like other people from other backgrounds, and it just wasn't connecting. Mm-hmm. But then when I read it with our community, they had feedback that I felt was relevant and pertinent to what I was trying to say in my script. And I was like, okay, I need to remember that I'm cultivating a community here that's gonna where everybody's like energy is gonna be exchanged, and I will always be able to rely on people from this community to support my projects and ideas just as much as I'm supporting theirs.
And so how did you talked about cultivating? How did you feel like that cultivation happened? Was it a mixture of word of mouth? Was it social media? Like how did that growth really start to happen for you all?
So I think it was a multitude of things. Definitely word of mouth, because it was like, oh my God, there's this thing, people are doing this mixer. And it wasn't, even though it was supporting Black filmmakers, there were no other subgroups that were left out. So like you could be of any identity within the Black community. And I think that really works in our favor, that we welcome everyone, all ethnic backgrounds, all stages of professional aptitude, gender, sexual identities. Like we are very, very open. So I think that allowed us to spread very quickly because everyone felt like there was space for them. So that's one thing. I think the name of the organization, right? If you Google Black filmmaking organizations, we come up, and our name, is conducive to that search. And then also the timing, because we're not the first Black collective in New York City. I mean, they've come and gone, but I think there was a bit of a gap at that time. Like there were a few in New York, but there weren't as many, and there weren't any that were like going crazy, like and then there weren't any that were like exploding at the level that we did. And then lastly, one thing for us too is a lot of the other collectives tend to skew towards mid-level professionals, people who are a little bit older, more seasoned. We attract younger people, and I think that we attract everybody, but primarily younger beginner filmmakers feel really, really included in our space. And that's something that our industry struggles with, right? It's a lot of elitism and exclusion. If they don't feel like you're at a certain level.
If you don't know anybody.
Exactly. And we don't do that, right? We have the people who are, doing well in our community as well, and they got their clicks or whatever, but if you never wrote a script before, you can come to our events and get value and meet other people that won't make you feel like a loser.
Yeah. And that's what the sense that I got joining, where I'm like, I don't, I've done little side projects, but I've never took on the title as filmmaker,
right?
Especially coming from an acting background. I'm like, I'm just the actor, like I don't know.
Right.
But I remember reading for the first time, having other people read the words that I had written was with Black Film Space. That was the first time being in that community that I said that, amazing. Wow, I'm a writer. First time I really claimed it and said it out loud. Before in Chicago, I would do little projects with my friends, but they're like, oh, are you going to write something there? I want to, but I don't know. And sitting down being like, yeah, I wrote these words.
Right.
So that's paramount. So any Black filmmaker, please check out Black Film Space. I recommend you guys all the time, honestly.
Thank you so much.
And on that path of growth, you guys have worked with the Gotham. You've worked with Tribeca Film Festival, Film at Lincoln Center. How do you decide on who should sponsor and who should you collaborate with?
Well, I function as the director of partnerships. I oversee partnerships and sponsorships for our organization. And a lot of times it's just a conversation, right? Like, where's that institution at in regards to their interest and their sincerity in wanting to support Black filmmakers? And then also, is this an equitable exchange of resources, time, and energy? That's really big for us as well, right? Some people only hit us up when we want to promote something. So I'm like, all right, well, y'all could get on the newsletter. That's fine. That's your capacity for how you can show up for us. But if there's a more involved partnership, I like to have like an introductory call to really gauge, like, what does that entail? What are you envisioning? How do you feel our members are going to benefit, right? And then I'm also thinking, as the founder, how can I protect our members in this as well, to make sure, A, that yes, they're benefiting, but B, also that their work is being treated a particular way. So those are certain things and factors that I look at, and then obviously our bandwidth and timing as well. And from there, we sort of work out like a plan on how to collaborate and work together. We get approached a lot, surprisingly. I think, the fact that a lot of people in New York City and just throughout the United States in general really love the work that we're doing. These organizations hear about us. Some of them find out about us online. Sometimes I'm introduced to people. People be like, "Oh, I'm sending you an email to connect you with this person. You guys should have a chat."
Yeah.
With the Gotham, I believe that, it first started off as them wanting to promote some programming that they had. Then we had a more in-depth discussion about partnerships. And then, those partnerships started to evolve. They changed leadership. I really got on really well with Kia Brooks. And then we just started to talk more about how can we deepen our collaboration. Lincoln Center, they have someone who's Black working in their marketing department, right? So he has a personal investment and want to make sure that our members are attending their screenings and different things like that. So, that's another thing too. You got to look for us in those spaces, right?
Yeah.
Because those people are going to advocate for our members to enjoy whatever it is they have to offer and vice versa. Yeah.
Did you know that Black film space was going to grow to what it is today?
No. Absolutely not. I just thought we were going to be chilling with like a few friends every couple of months. No way. I did not think I was going to be running a nonprofit. That was not my bingo card.
Really?
I thought I was just going to be making indie films and hustling to do freelance and reality. Or maybe move to LA. I didn't know. I was open. I was like, you know what? I'm very type A. I like to have a plan with everything. And the only thing I need to plan is executing these films. Wherever it takes me, I got to be open to that because I don't know enough about the film industry to have such hard lines and boundaries about what I want and don't want. And then B, I have been using that sort of structured, strict way of going about my career, and it hasn't led to much fulfillment. So when I decided to do the film thing, I just remained open and like a sponge. And I think that's why when Black Film Space took off, I was like, oh, okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Got it. This is a platform that is accelerating quickly, and I should embrace that.
It has grown quickly. I mean, with that growth, has there come obstacles within that time period? Yeah.
Our biggest obstacle is keeping up with the organization's growth and programming needs and the needs of our members. In the midst of like tight budgets and an industry that is constantly in flux, like constantly, like, oh my God.
yeah, constantly.
When we first started, we were cruising, it was good. Then 2022, 2023, the strikes. Now it's the administration. Like, it's just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So being able to just be self-sustaining in that regard and not lean too heavily on third parties for us to remain intact has been something that I'm very proud of. But it's tough because we have a small team and we're doing a lot.
Right. Yeah. I can only imagine trying to, keep that ship moving forward.
Yeah.
And like you said, so much is out of your hands in terms of like the film industry and even this current administration. And so my next question would be, a lot of organizations are having a hard time with writing grants. You can't use certain words around race and gender. Is that something that you all have had to combat?
It's been suggested that we avoid using the word Black.
Ugh.
But everybody on the website is Black.
I mean, it's for us. How can you? It's like a erasure, right? Like,
but it's also just kind of like impractical because it's literally all over our branding. It's on our website. The two founders are Black. The name Black is there. Even if we did BFS, like, what does the acronym BFS even mean? And then. I was like, we might as well just ride this wave. And if that means that we lose sponsorships and funding, then whatever. And that did happen. Ugh. So that's been tough. It's been tough.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. But it's like, Black people, we're here to stay. Okay. Yes, our work, our organizations, the things that we put out. And no matter how political or how, under the rug you're trying to be, like you said, like, we can't erase that because the founders are Black. It's literally representative of who's creating this.
Right. It would be one thing if, like, we had members of other races coming, then maybe that. It just doesn't make any sense. It's part of our name. It's part of the ethos of our organization and the motivation for why we even started this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we just got to commit to that.
Yeah, commit to it, because people like myself, other filmmakers that I've had conversations with, we need those spaces,
Exactly.
you know, and it's funny because, you know, we keep having these conversations of like, where is Black TV going? And it seems like every 10 years, Black TV seems to disappear, right? Mm-hmm. Like before, we had a big wave in the 90s with Moesha and Brandy, and then
Living Single,
yeah. And then they disappeared for a little bit. Exactly. And then we had a little bit of a wave with Girlfriends. And then that disappeared, right? And then suddenly Insecure in Atlanta and all these shows popped up. And so I don't think, you know, whatever has happened politically, we have to stay strong in what we're doing and what you're creating.
And you cannot allow politics to determine your art. It can inspire it, but it should not be the motivation for why you are not in the game. Like, we've got to become more self-sustaining and realize, like, these things always come and go in waves, like you said. Like, this is just a downward wave. It'll come back, but we're just gonna have to find a way to make it work.
I mean, in terms of like membership, you know, how do you make sure that community stays, you know, uplifted and protected in these changing climates? Especially, you know, you've had to add like the membership fees and all of that, and so how do you keep that intimacy within the space?
So we have digital programming every other month that we do online via Zoom for our members. So I think that's a great way for them to stay engaged and connected with each other. And then also we're doing everything within our power possible to keep a lot of the mainstay programming that our members really enjoy, like our summer mixer, like that one, we don't want to let it go. You know, we come up with a grant this year, thank God, right? It was tough, but we had to figure something out. But the main thing that we got the Screenwriting Accountability Group, the mentorship program, those sort of things we're always going to have available to our membership and our community, because we don't want them to feel like, oh, okay, well, this sponsor pulled out, so we ain't got nothing for y'all. Pay your money. Like, that's not fair.
Right.
What can we do that is within our control, within our bandwidth to do, that still provides value? Because most Black filmmakers are struggling, right? They don't have a lot of money, so we need to make sure that they get their money's worth. But the big thing that we're doing that we implemented starting 2023 is our conference. Because I remember talking to Reggie about it. I was like, we have a lot of members that are virtual all throughout the country that need to connect with people in person. And they don't have a vehicle to do that. Like, they might not be able to fly to these mixers in New York and LA. But if we plan one around the same time every year, everybody can like mentally plan for that. And that could be a great way for them to still stay connected to the community and maintain relationships outside of throughout the rest of the calendar year before they come again the following year. On top of that, they can meet the panelists and the workshop leaders. Like, it's just a great way for people to feel like that ecosystem is still there and that they still have that human touch. Like, Zoom is cool.
Yeah.
Not knocking it, but to always be on Zoom, it's just not the same.
Right. I mean, it's a great addition, because it's like, you know, you are expanding, and people, I'm pretty sure somebody in Idaho, you know, there's not really much of can assume a Black space for filmmakers in certain places in the country. So it's great that you have that as an option, you know?
And I love that we get to do like our pitch contest, because we have people from Mississippi, Atlanta as finalists. They can say, oh, okay, I have participated in an exercise that challenged me to pitch on stage in person in front of these particular people, programmers for Tribeca, Gotham, network executives, right? Like, that's cool.
Cool.
So I really wanted to make sure that we keep this weekend conference as a mainstay for our organization. And, you know, we've all been all hands on deck. Reggie has worked extensively with the marketing team. I do a lot of the programming, and it's growing. Just like the organization. It's like, okay, this is like, people are responding to this. They want this. They want the convening of Black filmmakers without the pressure of like film festival competition energy. Like, it's just coming together.
And it's felt. It's really felt. And so how important is community for you not only in your work, but in your personal life?
Oh, wow. I mean, community has kept me through all the seasons of my life. You know, every major transition that I encounter, whether it's professional or personal, my community is what allows me to evaluate and hone my discernment, right? Getting their feedback. They pour love into me and make me feel like I'm not on this journey alone. And community also gives me inspiration, right? You see other people around you navigating similar issues that you are going through, and it's like, oh, well, that's how they handled it. You know, that's something for me to make note of as well. I think that we downplay the importance of community today. You know, everyone's like, I got my own thing going on. I'm rolling solo.
Right.
But when you're in that low season,
you need somebody to help push you up.
Community is what gets you through it. I have always had community carrying me. And I mean, you know, the players in that community have changed, like, right, different seasons of life. But when I think about financing my first movie, it was my community that gave me money. When I think about, you know, moving to Chicago to work on a TV show for a couple of months, my community sent me off. They went to go visit me while I was away, when I was lonely and working all the time. You know, when I need to go to LA, and when I needed to go to LA and I didn't have enough money for a hotel room, it was members of my community that said, you could crash on my couch. You know, so we don't think about those things, right? When I was transitioning from reality to film, and I know what the hell I was doing, I was like, damn, I need money.
Right.
It was my community that said, hey, look, here's $50, buy some groceries. You know, now I'm doing a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's my community. It's the people that are saying, no, you're doing it, go for it, this is dope. Even when I question myself, that's what gives me the gumption and the courage to keep going. Yeah.
Wow. Ooh, that was a word.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back, you mentioned your first film. What do you know now that you wish you knew then, creating that project?
Oh, wow. That I didn't need as much money as I thought I did to make it. So that's one thing. I would have spent more time on the script.
Okay.
It's still a good movie, but I think I could have made it better.
It's great. It's great. I love it. I love it, especially as somebody working in corporate spaces.
Oh, that was like me venting.
So if anyone hasn't watched her film, it's called Privilege Unhinged. Yes. It's on YouTube. It's about a Black woman and her friend working in a corporate space, and kind of the white privilege that we see get a little unhinged in these spaces, or, you know, they get privilege in certain spaces and access to opportunities that a lot of us don't get the opportunity to you know, accept. And the main character, or not the main character, well, one of the characters, he like pretty much gets to keep his job when he really shouldn't be able to keep his job.
I have witnessed that countless times.
Yeah.
What else would I have done?
Yeah, in terms of like that first project, looking back, if there's anything else that you know now.
I think the money thing. Like, I could have shot it for less money. It wasn't like crazy, but like with what I know now, I could have definitely definitely did some things differently. I think those are probably the two main things. I'm actually really proud of my debut film. Like, I'm like, okay, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I made that.
You did.
And it's not bad.
No.
A lot of people, you know, they'll be like, I'll never show anybody my first film. I don't feel that way about my first movie.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, because it takes me a lot of courage. I'm like other people. I'm like, I don't know. But no, that was a great project.
Thank
and
you.
The cinematography of it was really great.
Arthur Wu is amazing. I love him. I can't wait to work with him again. And we have the same birthday. I always tell people that. So I'm like, I get you and you get me. That's one I like to work with cinematographers that contribute to projects but also give me room to play. And you know, I've been on sets where the cinematographer is like, you're doing it wrong, you know, you need to direct it this way. Like, I never have experienced that on any of my sets, thank God. And I really like that Arthur can identify things like, okay, I see what you're going for here, let's do this instead. Or he always comes up with ways to achieve the look I want, even if we don't have everything we need that he would normally be accustomed to working with on like a set with like a lot of money. He's great.
Well, I want to touch on Second Generation Wedding really quickly, which is about a Nigerian woman fighting for autonomy over her wedding with her family.
Yes.
How important is it for you to use your personal experience in your work, because you're also of Nigerian heritage?
Yes.
How important is that for you?
So at the time that I wrote it, I was not married. I had no prospects for marriage at that time. But I just remember what a lot of people I know went through when they were planning their wedding. And it wasn't really about the wedding. It was more about like the relationship between Nigerian women who are first gen and their moms who grew up on the continent with very strict patriarchal values on how they want to raise their kids, and also fathers as well, and the dichotomy of those two things, because people look at child rearing in the United States very differently. So that was something that I wanted to examine in this family setting, and I just used the wedding as like the way to get into that. And then also I wanted to make it a family ensemble piece where they would have to end up going to Nigeria in like the longer version of it. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do the wedding thing. Why not? We could shoot a wedding. Like yeah, you know, like I just was like all about that. But yeah, my mother and I butted heads a lot when I was growing up because she was so strict. I used to tell people growing up in New York back in the 90s and early 2000s, they'll be like, you on lock? I'm like, yeah, I'm on lockdown. I don't know if people said that in Chicago when you had strict parents.
Yeah, to a certain extent.
You'd be like, you on lock?
That's definitely New York for sure. That's definitely a New York thing.
I would tell people like, yeah, I'm doing a bid.
Yeah, I'm doing a bid.
My mom was so strict, but I get it. Like my body was developing. Like there were a lot of vultures on the corners of the areas that I grew up in. Like she was terrified.
Yeah.
But at the time I didn't know that. So it strained our relationship. So when I was developing into my womanhood, I just felt like I always had to fight to be heard, you know, and then the patriarchy of my culture makes it hard for me to feel seen. And when I would talk to other Nigerian American women about this, it was a recurring thing. I was like, we need to talk about that. And then even women like on the continent, yes, we're proud of our culture. We value respect. But how are we relating to people who are young and still developing and still learning their way throughout life? Like we have a standard of how we want things to be, but times are changing. So how do we allow the evolution of society to also meld with our traditions? And I think we're not having enough conversations about that. I mean, I think it's getting better these days. But at the time I made my film, we were not talking about any of that.
Yeah. I mean, those stories still are not really told. You know, we're still not really seeing a wide variety of stories being told about the diaspora, right? And like, how do we put that experience into a film and a project?
Yes.
Now, for you, what is a word or phrase that you would tell the next generation that wants to do the same thing that you're doing and they want to use their experiences to create a project or to create a community?
Sure. Before I answer your question, I have encountered some challenges because when that film came out, there was a lot of excitement around it, but then I would get into meetings and stuff with executives and stuff, and they'll be like, well, why don't you just make this in Nollywood? And I'm like, well, this is not a Nollywood film because I'm not born and raised in Nigeria. They have their own ecosystem of film production with people who are born in Nigeria. They don't want to work with me. Like they feel they're content with what they have over there. And then it was like, well, why don't you just make African American or Black American stories? And I was like, well, I mean, I would be happy to do that, but I also want to make this. Like, this is more aligned with my identity,
right? As
a first generation Nigerian American. Like, this is the most authentic expression of myself. And I think there's space for diasporic stories globally, right? And I'm like, why is there a disconnect in the industry with this? Like, this exists in the Latin market. This exists in the Asian market.
Yes.
Why does this not exist in the Black market as much as it should? It's not as robust. Like, you don't really see a lot of Black first gen stories.
No, you don't. And I don't know if there's always seemed to be like disconnects between, Black Americans and people from Africa, from the Caribbean, but it's like really a lot of us have those same experiences of being othered. Being a Black American kid going to a PWI.
Exactly.
I felt that experience and trying to find my way in a white American institution.
Right. That's right. And there are kids with African parents going through what you went through. Mm-hmm. What is that? If somebody wants to tell a story about that, why wouldn't a Black American watch that and connect to it?
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, when I realized like, okay, there's not an established market for people like me, I'm literally going to have to force my way through like the Black filmmaking
Make your
community.
Own path.
And when I talk to other first gen people, they're kind of going through similar frustrations. So I have not identified a space for people in my position yet. I know there's some filmmakers that have done it, but it's not as big as it should be, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So when I get there, I might have more sound advice. I would just say you're going to have to build your own platform right now, because there's not a big one for you just yet. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to prove that there's an audience waiting to see the material making. And then also pull the entire diaspora into your stories, because that is the way that you can generate conversation about your work. And then it makes it easier for you to be able to explain your motivations. And it'll leave your audience feeling satisfied. Even if there are cultural specificities in your work, make sure that the themes involved can connect to the entire diaspora. I think that is really big. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what's next for you?
Right now, I'm working on a supernatural drama.
Hey.
Yes. Most of the other stuff that I wrote and directed, it was all dramedy, and it had a lot of dialogue. So I was like, I'm going to challenge myself with a different genre and also less dialogue. Mm-hmm. So it's been a lot of fun. It's called White Agbada. Everyone always asks me, what's an Agbada? Do you see African men with those like capes when there's like a wedding or prayer? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's an Agbada. But yeah, it's about this Nigerian American woman who has a lot of vices, a lot of issues, mental health problems. And her sister tells her, come with me on a restorative trip to Nigeria. And she says, absolutely not, until she gets into a fight until she sees a ghost in the midst of a fight with her fuck buddy. Mm-hmm. So this short film is a proof of concept for a feature film where she will eventually go back home and like go on like a self-discovery type of trip. But I'm so excited about this film because I feel like this is going to be my debut. I just know it.
Yes. Yes.
I just know. And then also it's my fourth short film. And I feel so much more confident about my storytelling capabilities, of my abilities to explain my point of view as a creative. And it challenged me as a writer, as a director. It was really tough to make this movie. Like the other movies I made, honestly, the shoots were pretty smooth.
Yeah.
And, I didn't really have...
But this is going to be
this
the one.
Movie has been crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, it was so stressful to put together. But it's so good. I'm so
good. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. So we will be on the lookout for White
Agbada.
Agbada. We'll be on the lookout for that. And where can people find you, Lande?
So they
can stay in touch about it.
Sure. They can follow me at Lande Yoosuf. And they can also follow me at my production company at One Scribe Media. And if they want to learn more about the film specifically, they can follow White Agbada Film, all on Instagram. I am working on TikTok. It's a lot, guys.
It is a lot.
I'm going to get there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. I could talk all day.
I love it. And I have more questions. For you. So we'll have to do a part 2.
Come on.
Listen.
I'm ready.
Yes. All right. So thank you all so much for watching and listening to this episode of Crafted and Creative. Give us a like, comment, subscribe everywhere where you get your podcast and on YouTube. And I will see you all in the next episode.